Let's try that again. So
yes, I'm almost finished.
The question there was who's up to date on the readings, which would have been up to chapter 42. Show of hands if you're on chapter 35 or better. Okay. So I'm just at the start of 37. Martine, I think you're in charge today.
Wow, that's dangerous.
You're up.
Very. I did underline a couple of things, but I don't remember. Like I read it until midnight yesterday, so I don't quite remember what I read. Which is not a good sign. I did. Yeah, there was something. Let me refine it. I know.
Well, while you're looking, Martine, Roger, how are you? Welcome. The gentleman below you there is Dominic. Dominic, Roger. Yeah. I think. Where's Jay? Hey, Jay, are you there?
I think he's unmuted now.
Yeah, it looks like. Oh, hi, Jay. Martine, you were saying.
Well, one of the things that I did underline. Oh, yeah, vibrations. There was. I had a question about like vibration and our state of mind.
What chapter is that? Where is that?
Oh, I don't remember where it is.
Okay.
23.
23. Now, are you reading? Are you on Kindle or are you in the book?
Big book.
Ah, crap.
Well, chapter.
Yeah, my Kindle is on the fritz, so.
I'm just gonna get my Kindle up as well here.
You said chapter
23. But it doesn't talk about vibration. I had a thought about vibration.
Oh, well,
darn! You got me all interested there.
I was just about to say this is Dominic.
I don't remember anything about vibration.
Oh.
All right. Well, let's see. Martine, go for it. Let's see what happens.
Well, what he said is which is really trippy. Like, what will it mean for their current situation or problem if 100% of how they felt about it was generated by their own thinking? And own thinking is our state of mind at a moment. And I had a thought about vibration. Like our own vibration probably also has an impact of our way to see the world as at the same time. It was just a thought.
Can you say more about that? Like that our vibration impacts, just how you see it?
I feel that everybody has a own vibration. And as we see more clearly, it's probably, that's why I had questioned that it would be interesting to match state of mind and vibration. And people that have a lower vibration usually have also a lower state of mind, and they see the world.
Can I throw it really quickly?
Go ahead.
Well, it just well, I don't know about that. What popped in was that what you're describing sounds to me like levels of consciousness.
In a sense, yes, yeah.
Is that close?
It seems to match. It seems like that's why I had this thought. It seems to match in a sense.
So what exactly is the question then, Martine?
There was no question. It was I had this thought, like does it match? And if somebody has a lower vibration, it will impact their thinking. It was just something that came to my mind when I was reading it.
Can I say something about
Dominic's our resident vibrational expert.
Yes.
Vibration, man. I should have been in the 60s. What the hell am I doing here? So because Sid said, right, all energy, it's all energy. So when you say vibration, you could use that word, you could use energy, right? Because it's vibrating, something is vibrating, and who we are is nothing, right? Like There's actually nothing, right? Once you get down to the quantum physics things, there's nothing here, right? So all it is some energy. So now the word for me would be, so if there's energy or vibration, rather than, or a different word than a good vibration, bad vibration, like I'm in good vibration, bad vibration, is that who I really am is pure source energy. So that is a vibration. As expressed in form, and this will relate now to thinking, because thought, or my focus, let me say, as I think a thought, I vibrate with that thinking. As I focus on something, I match, my energy matches that. And then when we say good or bad, the question is how is my vibration or energy in resonance with or dissonant to the pure source energy that I am? So rather than levels of consciousness, or, I mean, it's all fine. It doesn't matter. Like levels of consciousness, or, right. But it's not that it's bad. It is that it's dissonant. I am distancing myself, or I am vibrating not in harmony with that pure source energy that I am, and that I will feel. And most people will describe that as, and I feel bad, right? Or they'll say, I'm frustrated, impatient, angry, anxious, like any of those words to describe the feeling. But really what the feeling is speaking to is the distance or mismatch to who I really am, caused by thought.
Right.
Anyway, that's been my sort of connection to all of that so far.
So vibration is more, you see vibration, alignment within vibration to be more synonymous with our feeling states. Like I know what you're saying, that it's our proximity to source, or our awareness, or our alignment with source, that, you know, that dissonance and resonance. That makes absolute sense to me. I'm just looking for a way to express it in 3P parlance.
Yeah. So feeling. Yeah, that's what I'd say. Feeling, emotion. So as I focus or think a thought, and vibrate with that thought. Like, I hate that person, right? I have this thought. Well, who I really am never hates.
Right.
So who I really am sees the same situation from love. But I hate that person, and what they did was terrible. So that, what the vibration that I match with, that I am becoming in this place, is so distant, is distancing from, that's the feeling. So I think and I feel.
So it would be, take a stab at it here. The more we get caught up or see ourselves as separate from universal energy, the more dissonance we have, or the more dissonance we experience.
Doesn't matter whether you see yourself or not as separate or not. The point is, you hate that guy. The point is, you're worrying about the future. It doesn't matter how you see yourself.
Right.
The moment you start worrying about anything, or concern, like the moment thought goes and you vibrate where your focus is.
Right.
And by the way, when I say you, we're going to separate here. I mean the little you that's looking, yes. But there is no such thing. There is no such thing. There is only the source energy expressed as those little you, who is focused somewhere. The pure energy that is at your source is not the way you are vibrating here. And you feel that. So you are always feeling your thinking, which is giving you, so thinking is creating my experience. The feeling that I have is the indicator for the direction of this creation, and that's telling me how I'm matching up to call it potential or pure possibility.
What do you think?
I think that if you're in that slower state, that slower vibration, the thinking that you're going to have, it will impact the level of thinking that you have in everyday life, not just one moment to moment, but or just that guy, but the way you look at life generally. It would be more general.
So cool, very cool. So that now speaks to, you are tuned in to this frequency.
Yes.
So when you're tuned to that disconnection, that dissonance, the only thought available to you is on that channel.
Exactly.
That's all you've got available. You cannot hear it's not that you cannot hear, but you are picking up, and then I'll throw out the word, but because in 3P this isn't here, this doesn't exist. 3P doesn't acknowledge this, but you could tune into something, but then there's, as you do that, an attraction component that keeps bringing you more and more and more and more and more in that frequency. And this is what the thought is you have available. And so the spin that can happen, which is a vicious spin, can be, my kids don't respect me. They said this thing yesterday. They never have. My life is horrible, actually, because because the only thing I can see and all that's available is what's available to me on this channel. So from this vibration, that's kind of it. And it just becomes worse and worse.
So how do
May I have a go at this one?
Yeah, go for it, Roger.
Before everything else, we are only energy, and we call it pure love. That's the word we came up with, of that feeling, that's the only feeling that can come out. I can only feel love for you here and now, and I feel it. God damn it, I feel it. And the second the ego comes in, it has to go left or right. It has to go right or wrong to feel its existence and to be something else. And then we're off and we're in the game.
We're in the game. I like that.
Well said. Nice.
So how do we go Roger.
That resonance with you.
Yeah. Well, when we're love, it's all, there is nothing, right? There's everything and nothing. It's pure potential and possibility. But it's not, and this is something that came to me recently because of, and thank you and much gratitude to all the non-duality rigorous people who are in our community, because because they keep pointing to that nothing, right? The nothing and all of that. But they pointed to it as if it were separate.
Right.
And so then I thought, that's the problem, is in our language. So when who we are is this love, this thing, but then we also want to explain us. So instead of pointing to that separate thing, which is the only thing that is, which is pure consciousness, and over here, this separate thing is an illusion, right? No, it's that love is in a constant expression of itself. It doesn't sit there doing nothing. It is sitting there expressed as you, Roger.
Yeah.
So it is focused in thinking you up. That consciousness imagines you. But the moment it imagines you, you are a point of consciousness that is imagined and experienced by that one, by all of it. So it's hard to talk, because if we say, isn't it just pure love, etc.? Yes, in expression. It is not pure love sitting over there somewhere separate. It is pure love in expression. So it is pure love expressed as you and knowing itself from your perspective. The degree to which your perspective is pure love, it'll be perfect match. And the degree to which you see differently is your light, pure white light, going through a prism, seeing colors. So then you'll see this difference, and it's all beautiful.
Yeah. Have you listened to John DeMartini and his works?
I have not. No, I'll check that out.
Nor have I. Can you say that name again, Roger?
John DeMartini.
Note-taking time.
John DeMartini.
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Yeah. I've heard the name, but I'll check that out.
Can we something that Martini? Can we change the channel?
Oh,
No.
I was like, I thought he wanted to change the subject.
No. That
Wow.
came out wrong. No, the topic is good. And as you were speaking, we're talking about resonance, we're talking about vibration. Can we actively change our vibration? What do you guys think? Can we change our mind? Do we have choice? Do we have free will? Is a vibration something that we can change? I'm stuck in a low vibration or in a low mood or in low thinking. Can I actively change it? What do you all think?
I think it does change.
I think yes.
Whether I actively choose to change it or not, I'm not 100% sure of. I do know that if my consciousness goes to a different place, then it does change.
Mm-hmm.
My thinking goes to, if I become aware of it, that's what I mean by consciousness. If I become aware of where I am, it automatically changes.
If I become aware of it, it automatically changes.
Whereas if I'm all caught up in it, then I stay stuck in it. It doesn't change. And I just froze.
So there's
we still hear you, Kathy, but you're good. But you did freeze, but we still hear you.
Okay, good.
You're back.
there we are. So do we have an active role in that, do you think? Martina's nodding. Is anyone else? Do we have an active?
My active role would be to tune in enough that I'm practicing being aware. It's like I don't.
So,
my active role is to try to be aware. To ask people to give me feedback, going, Kathy, you're a little bit outside in right now.
the reason, this is something that I'm working through myself. And there's a Sid audio, and he talks about, it's beautiful because he's using a floppy disk drive as an example, and he talks about how, well, if I'm sad, I'm Jamie Smart talks about different shades of sunglasses or glasses. Anyway, Sid's talking about changing his floppy disk. Well, I'm in a happy mood and I want to change that to be an angry mood. I insert the angry floppy disk. I want to change that. I don't want to be angry anymore. Now I want to feel proud. In goes the proud floppy disk. So it suggests to me some level of control over our thoughts and feelings, that we can, and it suggests to me an active participatory role in changing thought. That to me feels a little bit beyond just the recognition of it, although that's where it has to start. I mean, what 3P teaches, I think, gives us is the ability to recognize the creation, you know, where our feeling, where that comes from. But I can't get past this idea that Sid was saying we have an active role.
I do know, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go, Kathy, go. I'm just rambling.
I do know that when I was doing child therapy and I was working with kids and teenagers and families that had been through really traumatic things, one of the commitments I made to the young people was that when they left my office, they would not leave in a state of trauma. And so there was a couple of times that, you know, kids would get so caught up in what they had been through that they were, you know, just really stuck in it. And I would remind them of my promise, and then I would pull up jokes on the internet and just kind of start going back and forth telling jokes with the young person. And in a way, one of the things that I was doing was that I was helping them get aware of how to get out of, how to change that floppy disk. And so I used humor a lot to try to change that floppy disk. And I was teaching them how to use that to change that floppy disk. So I guess in that sense, I do believe that, yeah, we can change that. I don't think it's so easy as just saying, I'm going to decide to do this.
Why not?
It just takes a willingness to see things differently. Just to look in that direction.
That resonates. Willingness or intention.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look out into the day, I see everything. And if I intend to look for flowers, I'll find them. I can focus to flowers. And if there's a car crash, I can keep looking.
The thoughts that get us out of trouble.
Oh,
sorry, that was me. My apologies.
Yeah, I can. So you say, well, can I? And whatever I look at is me tuning in, and then me tuning in, I'm thinking, I'm focused on that, which I will immediately feel. So as I look at and see flowers, I can see anything. And I see flowers and I feel it. And so as I'm focused there, then there's a resonance. By the way, as I keep looking, I'll start to see more and more and more. Or more beautiful things, not flowers. But I'm noticing the trees are so beautiful. I've never realized how beautiful the trees are. Wow, look at that bird. Did you see that bird? So the thing is, what I'm tuned into is not actually the thought. I'm tuned into the vibration of beauty and appreciation. And so more and more and more and more evidence is coming to me of things I love and appreciate. And they're consistent with the feeling.
Right. That's a beautiful distinction, Dominic. I really like that. You guys want to, so like I said, I've been talking to, well, I didn't say this. I've been talking to David Banks about forgiveness and free will a little bit lately. And he sent me a 2-minute and 15-second audio of Sid's. And the email that came with it was, you know, if you have any doubt about my father's thoughts on forgiveness and free will, watch this video. you want to listen to it? It's 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
Please.
Does it kind of fit with where we're at? Let me throw like, so that's what I was testing before. I wasn't not listening, Dominic. 1 second. Let me see if this works.
It's amazing our thoughts get us into trouble.
You got that?
Yeah.
Okay. It's 2 minutes.
It's amazing our thoughts get us into trouble, and it's our thoughts that get us out of trouble. And if you're in trouble with your thoughts, there's no sense in digesting them over and over and over again. You forget them. You forgive yourself. You have to learn to forgive yourself and other people. Unless you forgive, you'll go through life in a hellhole, to put it bluntly. And if you look with logic, you'll see what I'm talking about with common sense. When a person is suffering because of their past, to go back into that past again and create more suffering, it doesn't make common sense. What that person needs is love and understanding to get over the trauma of the past. And if you give them love and understanding and the knowledge that all it is a memory carried through time via thought, then there's the healing process is taking place right there. When I say forget the past, it doesn't mean to say you actually forget the past. A lot of my past is beautiful memories. There's nothing wrong with having a beautiful memory. A beautiful memory is a healthy memory. There's nothing wrong with that. It's when you have unhealthy memories that are creating your mental problem now. You drop those unhealthy ones. And the healthy ones, you still realize it's just a memory, but it's a beautiful memory. That's quite different. And another important thing to remember, each day in our life, we have probably thousands and thousands of thoughts going through our head. Some are good, some are bad. Some are positive, some are negative. Now, this is where your free will comes in. You have the free will to use whichever thoughts you want to. That's quite different. You know, if you have a bad thought, you don't always act on it. It would be a terrible life if everybody acted on their bad thoughts. You just ignore them and you act on the good thoughts.
What do you think? It's the piece at the end. So I've heard that before, but I hadn't heard it. I hadn't listened to it from this morning, so I wasn't sure what it was going to be. But you know, the idea that we can have a bad thought without action suggests to me that we have some choice. You know, we don't have to choose. You know, one of my recurring silly thoughts is, geez, I wonder what would happen if I ran into all those people at the bus stop. Well, I'm not going to act on that. Well, why is that any different than I feel like shit right now? I don't want to feel like shit anymore right now. So I'm not going to feel like shit. I'm going to choose something different. I'm not going to entertain that thought. Does that make sense to anyone else? Does anyone else see choice in there? Or am I on an island here?
I think the choice is that we can choose. Like, I might not be able to choose whatever thoughts and feelings pop into my mind and my feelings at any moment in time. However, I choose my response to them at any moment in time. So my response is, you know, yes, I don't like how I'm feeling. I'm going to turn, like I like Dominic's term, I'm going to turn my intention to something where I feel better. So my response to it can be to change my intention. If when I become aware that I'm feeling this and I don't want to feel it, I can set my intention to move somewhere else, to put my focus and my intention somewhere else, and therefore I can put my thoughts and feelings there. But the thoughts and feelings that originally come in, I don't know that I control those. I don't know that those just kind of are on a constant free flow state. And which ones I pay attention to, then I go, oh, okay, so there I am. Once I become aware of it again, I think it has to do with that awareness and being conscious of where I'm at. Then I can choose to put my intention or attention somewhere else.
Hi, Sarah. Welcome. How are you?
I am sorry I'm late. I don't really know the time it starts.
Well, you're here now.
Yeah, okay.
Anyone else have thoughts? Anyone else have thoughts on that?
Can I say something?
Yeah, please do.
Well, when you talk about choice, we also have the choice to ignore. Like I have a thought, and I know the thought is going to bring me to a sad place, an unhappy place, angry place, so I ignore it. And go, because I know I have the next thought. He keeps saying, Sydney Banks, we keep having another thought, and the next thought might change my life. So I can ignore the thought that's here now. Yeah. That's also a choice.
Well, exactly. So, I mean, personally, at this moment, I see that we have lots of choice. What Kathy said, we don't have a choice of what comes in.
Right. Yeah.
But I think we would all agree. Well, I think we all would agree that we have no say in what comes in. But I think we'd also all agree that we have some impact on how or what we follow or how long we follow.
Well, and to what Kathy was saying earlier is like this point about the choice. Well, when I look out, I don't have any choice about what I see out there. Because if I look out in the front of my house, there's some beautiful things. If I'm downtown Toronto working and I look out, there's buildings and cars and all kinds of stuff. So I don't have any choice about what I see, but I do have a choice on what I focus on.
Right.
It's like, isn't it amazing that human beings can create and design these kinds of buildings to go to this sort of height? I can be in amazement of that. Or I can also notice that someone dropped a coffee cup on the ground, and what disgusting human beings we live with. I can choose. I don't have a choice about what I see, but I can focus in one place or another. And this is not, I don't know that 3P says this, but if I focus on the cup and the trash that was thrown there, my vibration, my tuning into that will bring me evidence of more. It will bring me evidence of more. Do you notice the homeless person over there? How can we let that happen? Don't you see how terrible human beings are? By the way, I will tune in and get evidence of more. Now, this is a part where if I let that go, and this 3P doesn't talk about this, but many of you know I follow the teachings of Abraham. There is a momentum to thought. There is an attraction power to thought. The universe, like gravity, is bringing more within that vibration. And so what happens is I notice the homeless person, and I notice the people that walk past him, and I notice a look of disgust on their face. I am at a level of detail where I can see how horrible we are and how horrible all these people are. But what I'm not noticing is the one woman who dropped the coin.
Right.
Or she's probably doing that out of guilt. Notice the reinterpretation of the same thing that I'm noticing. Now, maybe to Kathy's point and others, I am no longer in control. I am no longer in control. Thought comes to me. I have tuned into a vibration. I do not control the next thought. There's a momentum to it, like a car going down the hill. I get choice early on. When I'm at the top of the hill and this car starts to move, I can run out in front of it, bump up against it, and it will stop. If I am at the bottom of the hill and that car is coming at me, it is dangerous to get out in front of it and attempt to stop the car. You will be run over by this car, and that's what's happening with thought. And that's why people will say, I am not in control of my thought. Don't tell me to change my thought, because they're right. They are right. You can't control your thought. It's too far gone.
Yeah,
so somewhere in the beginning, you are as source, you can choose a direction. If you catch it early on, you catch the feeling early on, you wouldn't keep it going.
So we're back to sort of the identification early on being key in what happens next or what comes next. So what I'm hearing, Dominic, is that we're constantly being provided with raw material. You know, we look out the window, we have raw material. We have thinking coming in, we have raw material coming in, and if we catch that early on or early enough, we can direct it a little bit. Go ahead, Arvind.
Yeah, so Dominic is saying that thoughts has a lot of branches. It just keep on going as a snowball, but it doesn't mean that it won't be stopping right away. So you can have a horrible thoughts, and all of a sudden you are just all thoughts are gone. Pretty much you are just empty and you have a better thoughts. So it's not like it's going to keep on growing for no reason. It's just, if you wanted to keep it, you could keep it. But if you don't, it's just everything goes flat and you are like back to normal.
Well, Arvind, if you were in the middle of that state of anger and frustration, and I were to hand you a little baby, I think you would get knocked right out of your thinking. If I handed you a little baby who was giggling, you would be knocked right out of your thinking. Right?
Yeah, that is true. But when you were talking, it seems like people just keep on going for no reason, and there's no stopping to it, right?
Oh yeah, all momentum will stop. But here's the thing, so momentum stops when you stop feeding it.
Yeah. So here's my question.
So that thought is not a momentum.
Go.
For instance, like it's not like you have a thought. Sometimes we think that thought is really, really horrible or some horrible. Like it's just a variety of it, but it's not like a momentum is going to keep on building from one small, negative thought, second level of negative thought, third level of negative thought.
So,
not like that.
So thought comes to life from what brings thought to life. Thought is neutral. It has nothing. Yeah. What brings it to life is consciousness, your attention.
Mm-hmm.
So a focus of attention on the thought brings it to life.
Okay.
What keeps it alive, it has no life other than the attention you give it. So as a second thought comes, you feed it with your consciousness. As a third thought comes, you feed it with your consciousness. Pretty soon, the vibration is getting pretty strong, and a law of attraction is bringing you more. As long as you
don't agree with it, though.
So okay. So that's
I don't agree with the fact that you focusing on something and it keep on bringing the other thoughts.
Yes.
So, you could be in a horrible state, and instantly you can come back to normal.
I know. Oftentimes in arguing with my child or a person, when I absolutely hate them,
mm-hmm.
right? I have in the very next sentence become present to my love. That has rarely happened to me.
Yeah, rarely happened, but it happens.
It happens for people. It happened for Sid.
Yeah, that's what I am saying. So it's not, the thought is not a road like a snowball. So if you think as a thought as a snowball, we are actually moving a lot far away from whatever Sid was saying. Sid is saying it's not a snowball. It just happens moment to moment, and you could instantly become present and whatever.
I don't know about that.
You got to check it out in your own life. Like, don't believe anybody, right? You got to check it out in your own life. You do. You have to check it out. You got to see what happened. Like, remember George Pransky and Linda Pransky after the teachings of Sid, which Sid eventually quashed, but they really went on a path of moods.
Mm-hmm.
In their early teaching, they said, really, it's about mood.
Mm-hmm.
And mood is what it is, versus thoughts, like as if there's random thoughts. They talked moods, and moods are frequencies of thought.
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can rise out of moods and down. Now, Abraham would say to the part about what we're talking about is, you know, I'm on this frequency, but then there's a frequency of pure love and joy, which let's call it breakthrough or insight, right? They say, yes, of course that's possible. It just doesn't, it's just like, don't rely on it. That's like, you know, listen, if you were in a near-death experience, really worried about money and concerned with your future, got into your car and almost died, none of those thoughts would matter. They would instantly disappear because you would be popped right out of that level of frequency. And you would go right back to pure, like you would know what's important and not important. But why rely on that? Why rely on an insight moment, an enlightenment moment, when you are in the middle of your car and then or whatever it is, and you notice how worried you are? All that's required is, I want to feel better.
But it's not necessarily like, so if it doesn't happen like that though, so you say, okay, I want to feel better. You don't just feel better, right?
Well, I want to feel better is an intention or a beginning to look different, look somewhere else. Sid said, listen for a feeling and follow the feeling. Well, he certainly didn't mean listen for where you're depressed and go after it, right? What he meant was listen for a feeling and follow the feeling. So I'm listening or I'm tuning to a better feeling. So I don't have to control my thinking, but I need to look in the direction or be interested in the direction of what feels better. Why what feels better? Because what feels better resonates more closely with who I really am. That's pure source energy, love, peace, joy.
Do you guys think there are any pre-existing conditions that have to exist before an insight can happen or thought can change?
Can you take that one more time?
So we're talking sort of around insight. We're talking around changing thought. We're talking a little bit around free will and control and choice. Does anything have to exist for us to act on that or to enact that? Like, one of the conversations that I've been having a little bit recently is the idea that insight can happen at any time. And people are nodding. I don't agree with that.
If somebody had the recipe for an insight, everybody will follow it, right?
Well, I think there is a recipe for insight. And it's quiet mind. I think that people say you can have an insight at any time. I don't think that's true. I think the only way you can have an insight, certainly a spiritual insight, is from a place of a quiet mind.
No.
That's my experience. Sarah's shaking her head no. Go for it, Sarah.
Well, sorry. And the only problem with that is we don't know how to get to the quiet mind. So even if it solves the problem or we diagnose that it is, like in the near-death experience, I would say in the instant would be your mind goes completely quiet. The problem is we don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
Or the psychiatrist that was on the death march. What is his name? That very well known psychiatrist on the death march. No, from a concentration camp. He had an insight, right? So.
Yeah, but he didn't. But that's looking at external chaos. So external chaos has nothing to do with mental chaos, right?
I've had moments of mental chaos and said to myself, okay, now you're in mental chaos. It's not going to lead you anywhere. And then I would say to myself, okay, stop the thoughts and look at the feelings in your stomach. And it would go away because I was in such terrible I was in such a terrible state. And from there, Insight. I mean, I have the insight. Stop this right now.
Precisely. It didn't go from chaos. So this is my opinion. It doesn't go from chaos to insight. It goes from
My mind was in chaos.
But it's
my mind was in chaos, and I said to myself, "Stop this."
So there's the quiet.
With this.
So there's the moment of quiet, right? I'm in chaos. The recognition that I'm in chaos. This isn't good. There's the separation away from chaos, which allows insight to come in. I don't think we go from chaos to insight. I think there has to be, in my personal experience, there has always been space.
Well, in a way, it's like, you know, we're kind of trying to identify the point in time.
Yes.
We do have a lot of stories. If you listen, like Eckhart Tolle, like he was in the most chaos, suicide, ready to kill himself, right? With this, like, I don't know what he said was there. He's going to be sucked out the window, or he was like, and he says, I cannot stand to live with myself any longer, right? I cannot stand to live with myself any longer. And in the noise of that, he heard, what the hell did I just say?
Yeah.
I cannot stand to live with myself. Are there two of me? Right? And out of that, there was this like insight that which one of those am I? And one of them's about to kill me. Right?
Yeah. We're not funny.
So that was insight, total turmoil.
And total change.
Yes, transformational. So
a total change.
Yeah, like, so let's say God has no limitation on how you can hear him, right? If we consider consciousness coming through, right? God is not stopped by your noisy mind. God will be heard.
Agree. I think that you could recognize it after you learn about these three principles. That's what is happening. But even before you know all this stuff, you will have insight regardless of you know this or not.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, just it's, you know, stuff that I've been chatting with people about and my own thoughts. My biggest insight, both the two biggest insights that I've ever had, came from what you would describe as chaos. I mean, down dirty shit that's been going on for years and years and years and years and years. Boom, all of a sudden it's gone. But I can't get away from the notion that I had to have the light bulb moment. There was a moment where the chaos stopped. So I guess and maybe this is just semantics, I don't know, but it doesn't, you know, everything that Sid talks about is quiet mind, quiet mind, quiet mind. Go home. He never talks about insight coming from chaos, ever. We have the potential for insight at any time, but we have
it doesn't come from chaos or figuring it out either, right? Like, oh, you know what? I need an insight around this. I'm going to spend the afternoon, actually.
I'm going to get it.
I'm going to spend this afternoon really thinking about it so that I can get there.
I'm going to get myself an insight.
Yeah, well, like Brené Brown and Eckhart Tolle, they were about to commit suicide. That's not a good road, no?
No.
If we want a formula, we should use that formula.
Yeah.
You need to go to the point of suicidal, and that will take you to, well, it's either going to take you in one direction or another. Yeah. In fact, both are the same place, but one of them is non-physical and the other one is.
What do you think? Hold on a sec. Wait, Roger, what do you think? You look like you've got a thought there.
Oh.
And if not, that's okay too.
Yeah, I don't know. One thing that came up was that spot you're talking about between chaos and insight. Mm-hmm. Bit of fun example, but you heard of people. I don't remember doing it myself, but if two people are arguing and going at it, and one of them suddenly make a face, just drop it and make a face or something just ridiculous, and then it's over. The other human being can't keep it up either.
Well, you'd have to willfully bring it back, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and that is proof of something too, I think, in this conversation.
Great.
I love it. I love that, and I love the way you finish that as proof of something in this. Yeah, I don't know. It's something that struck me a little while ago that we talk about the potential for insight happening at any time, but.
Well, so that is a good proof, like proof of something, right? That what is it? Why is our common sense when I'm doing this, like I'm working on something and I'm thinking and I'm noticing myself stressed, and then I go, I gotta go for a run.
Yeah.
Like why that coming up?
Well, it's an example that's like a simple example from 2 weeks ago. I misplaced my keys, and so this is daily life insight, right? I've lost my keys, and I'm walking around looking at them, walking around back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Okay, and then I looked down, and there were my keys. I didn't find them while I was going back and forth. I had the ability to see them when I stopped. And again, it might just be a semantics thing, but I think it's irresponsible on some level to say that you can have an insight out of chaos. There's something around that doesn't sit with me, and I could be full of shit, and that's cool.
Well, so Michael, let's say it would be irresponsible to encourage the perpetuation of that.
Yes, much well, yes.
It would be irresponsible to encourage the perpetuation of so Abraham says, you are in this world like in a buffet of all kinds of food, and you go and you take something which is thought or some focus, and it's horrible, you hate it. And then you say that shouldn't be there, right? That shouldn't be there, which keeps you stuck, right? Like now you're stuck on that thought, that thing. And it's like you go up and you eat more of it. You see, it was as disgusting the second time as it was the first time. I can't believe they keep those things at this buffet. And what a waste of life versus why don't you choose something else? Mm. Why don't you eat of all the beautiful food? Why are you stuck on this? And that's the right. No, but they're wrong. And let's talk about Trump. Because you're stuck, right? No, I don't like him. Well, then why do you talk about him? Because he's doing this and that. We need to be against it. Well, your very attention to it is bringing it to life, and you are feeling it. And there's a lot to see in the world, and he's one of 7 billion people. Look elsewhere.
It seems kind of simple that way, doesn't it?
Look elsewhere. Stop eating food that poisons you. Stop keeping eating food which feels bad, that is hurting you. Don't eat it. That's not common sense. So we shouldn't encourage the perpetuation in hopes that one day it'll just go away by itself. But in the meantime, if you keep eating it, I guess you're going to keep eating it. No, we shouldn't encourage that. Ask them what feels better, what would be better, what's great about their life versus what's miserable. Ask a different question.
So Michael, I'm wondering, your question was, can insight come from that moment of chaos? Can it go right into insight? Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering, is it the insight that brings us into the present moment, or is it the present moment that brings the insight? And I'm not sure that I can make a distinction on that.
Yeah, I don't know, Kathy, and I've certainly considered that. And on my deathbed, I'll know all, so I'll get back to it. But until then, it's entertaining. It just there was something in a conversation online where, like, you know, a kid has to stop crying for them to be happy and smile again. Like something has to occur to change the trajectory of the thinking, or to allow for universal wisdom to be heard. I don't think we're hearing it when we're screaming at the top of our lungs, or when I'm spinning around in circles looking for my keys. I think that keeps it at arm's distance. Now, I'm not suggesting, and I've been pretty fucked up over years, and been, you know, close to that sort of end of days kind of. I think insights that happen at that level, you know, Bill Pettit talks about them as being a last ditch effort to wake you up. You know, where, okay, you're doing real harm now, we're going to wake you up. I still feel like we have to be in a place to hear that. And I'm just not sure we can hear it amidst internal chaos. You know, the idea that David Banks threw out was, you know, you can be walking around New York City amidst the bustle and chaos of it and be totally mentally at ease.
Right.
Of course, but that's external chaos. That is not internal chaos. And I don't think that insight can come from internal chaos. I think that's what Sid is pointing to when he talks about quiet mind. You know, chaos going on around us, that's easy. But internally, I think we need to have calm for insight to happen. And that's just my opinion. You know, like I said, I could be full of shit, and I'm perfectly happy being that way. So it's all good.
I just realized I don't necessarily make a distinction between external chaos in terms of like the city noise and things like that. That my internal chaos is also external.
Wow, this is now we're getting neat. I think there is so we should come back to this one. My suspicion is that because we live in a world of form, I don't know. I'm not sure.
But then there is thought form. In other words, so to Kathy's point, I think, well, first off, one thing, Kathy, you said, which I just realized is kind of cool. You said about, I don't know if it's the being in the now or being in the quiet mind. And when you said that, I wondered if now has no thought. Like thought is past or future, or right? So maybe it's not, there's no distinction, right? I wonder if it's now or being in quiet. Yeah.
And that's what I meant by my internal chaos. If I'm in internal chaos, it isn't who I am. It's just a bunch of chatter going on about past, about future, about, you know, this, about that, but it's not who I am.
And then
it's still external to who I truly am.
Yeah, because who you are notices it.
Right.
Like, so who you are notices it, and until who you are becomes it, and then you're lost, right? Now you are, and you're lost in it, versus seeing it as, because the who you are that notices it is pure peace, joy, and love, right? It's just kind of noticing the crazy thought. Like, Michael, when you said, what if I just turned the steering wheel and went off the cliff? Like the thought, like, because you're on this edge, and that the thought, it's a stupid thought. Where'd it come from? But there's something that's noticed, or just doesn't engage or whatever. So it's who you are isn't out in that. So Kathy's point, I think, about that the thought is out there too. I think because if it's thought form, it's now out. When it's formless, it's only vibration. Hey, we're back to the beginning of the conversation. So when it's formless, it is vibration. And Abraham says, you turn vibration, you translate vibration into thought. You are translating vibration into thought. You are making meaning of that vibration, and you are interpreting it into thought.
Any last thoughts? I mean, this is a fascinating conversation. I mean, we could spend hours on this, I think.
You know, one that I'd like to throw in that keeps coming back to me is we haven't talked about that when I'm feeling stuck, when I'm in a negative place or whatever. It's close to what Kathy was talking about. She says it's not me. It's the idea of identity. Is the issue that really separates the two.
Say that again, Francis, sorry.
Identity.
Okay.
So, identity being, this is me. And as long as this is me, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, again, it feels to me like that realization, or the as long as you see it as being you, you're stuck. And
you're stuck.
And there has to be
the other side of it.
There has to be a moment.
In terms of the levels, you know, the sense that I've heard is the highest level you go to, you never lose it. So we do have that to come back to when we're feeling stuck in an identity, is that we've experienced something of our true nature and we can't lose that. That's like an anchor.
Mm-hmm. This is another facet. I had this conversation with Jack years ago. When I was asking him about, you know, levels of consciousness. We have a spiritual insight. We click up a level of consciousness. Can we sink down again? You know, like does the escalator only go in one direction in terms of spiritual insight? Anyway.
I don't know. There's very few things I've seen that I can't unsee, like that sort of insight that I now know is true and I will always know it's true, and I'll still get lost in. Like, in other words, there is no meaning in life, and then I make meaning and I'm completely lost in it. But I've had an insight that there is none, and it's me generating it or making it up, but then I'll be lost in it. So now I know at some level that I'm making it up, but not necessarily in the moment of. And just one other thing, Abraham, as a quote, says, enlightenment is not like a college degree that you will get and hang on your wall and have it forevermore. It is an in the moment thing. It either is or it isn't in this moment. So you are either lost in your thinking or you are not in this moment.
Well, that's interesting. I like
that. I think that in levels of consciousness, we go up and we go down, but we don't go back where we were. We go up, we go back a little bit, we go up again, but we never go back down to where we were before we met the principles. I think that you incrementally go a little higher and a little higher, and the things that bothered you before bother you less and less. It's a matter of increment, not a complete going down and a complete going up. And even if you get involved in an argument or something, you see it quicker, depending on the levels of insight and the levels of consciousness. So it's a scale. It goes up and it goes down, but it never goes down where you were before you met the principles. I think it just keeps going. Your level keeps going higher and higher and higher, even though you have some drops here and there, but it just does.
I see that. I see that, Sarah, as well. To me, it feels like you kind of click up a little bit, and then you undulate at that new level, and then you click up a little, and then you undulate at that level again, and you click up a little, and you undulate. So there's always,
and Sarah, just that's my experience too, is like it's better and better and better. Like life is better and better and better. And this isn't great to say, but so just like there's these moments of great insights, there have been moments, and thank God that they're fewer and farther between, but where I am so ashamed of where I have gone. Like, in other words, the dipping to go to, like, with an anger or a reaction at something where I go, oh my God, I thought I was past that. Like, like now, and thankfully, right, it's not like, you know, whereas that could have been frequent, it's like, it's a shocking kind of, I can't believe that was me in that meeting or in that moment. I can't believe that happened, right? So totally lost it. And Arvind, that was the momentum of thought that just took me away.
Anyone else? It's almost quarter after, and I think it's groovy that we're over time and everyone seems pretty cool with that. That's awesome. Any last thoughts? My sweetheart is out doing gardening and stuff like that. I feel like I should probably join her soon. That was for her benefit, but I guess she didn't hear me.
I wonder what thoughts she's having about us on this webinar right now.
This is sort of been in and out a little bit. So do we have any last thoughts? I think this has been wonderful. We should say something about the book. It's a good book. There it is. Yeah, there we go. We love you, Ankush. Any last thoughts to close out, folks? Sarah, thank you for joining us. Newbie, Helen, say something, Helen. Hold on, there you go. Hi, Helen.
Hi, I'm Helen.
Awesome.
I read the book. Hi, how are you, Jessie Lynn?
Hey, there we go.
I read the book.
You have or have not?
I have.
You have?
I was sent an early copy, and I did a little bit of editing, and I wrote a review.
Oh, yes.
So I'm the top of the class.
You are, absolutely. You can run the next one.
Uh-oh. You're in trouble.
We got to read now, man.
Yeah, you better read. Are you going to do this properly the next time?
Properly? What are you suggesting? This is as proper as we get, Helen.
I won't tell Ankush, I promise.
Well, we pride ourselves on being free-flowing and adaptable in these conversations.
Oh, yeah. Cool. I like that too.
Well, here's the thing. Like we've done a few books now, and good things tend to come out of these conversations. And
cool.
One way or another, they do seem to set us up for our final one with the author. That always ends up, you know, sort of being half on the book and then half on things that we've been talking about. So maybe we should go with round table instead of book club. Maybe it's time.
Maybe.
To delineate.
No way. Let's keep deceiving people. We'll bring them in with the book club thing, but there's no controlling us.
That's right.
Drag them in under false pretenses. Yeah.
Right. We've got
Just
you
keep
now.
drawing them in with the books.
Yeah.
We've got you now. Well, Helen, listen. Okay, do we have 2 minutes, everyone?
Just
Helen,
two. I really need to leave shortly.
Okay. Well, if you got to go, you got to go, right? Helen.
Yeah.
Give us something on the book.
Oh, the cover's nice.
The cover.
No, I enjoyed it. I found like I know Ankush pretty well.
Yeah.
I think I like it from a coach's point of view. I think there's a lot of examples that would be very helpful to an awful lot of people in their work and home life, you know. Young married people, I think, could be quite useful for them. His experience as a newly married young man, and his experience with clients and how he helped them in very practical, helpful ways. I found the book very useful. Very useful, very readable, and some of the humor comes through. It's a very dry kind of an understated humor, but I did find myself chuckling a few times, which I always love that in a book. There's no humor at all, and it's very, you're dragging along a bit. I think I really enjoy that in a book. That's just my personal thing. And it's a while now since I read it, but I do remember several examples that I've quoted to others, that I remembered as being helpful. So I read it, folks. I'm sure you've all read it, mostly.
Well, and we have. I mean, I'm a couple of behind where I should be, but we're all. I mean, despite the fact that the book doesn't always directly come up in our conversations, we do generally read them.
Oh, don't worry, I'm only joking.
In our defense, we do generally read them. At least some.
Oh, stop already.
Jessie Lynn, you got anything for us? You've always got some good wisdom to throw out.
I don't today.
You do,
not when you ask it like that, Michael.
No pressure, no pressure.
By the way, there's something you can't get insight by Michael asking you, oh, what's your insight? So there's one of the biggest learnings I've got so far out of this.
Awesome. All right, on that note. All right, cool, everyone. So we're back. We're back at 10 on Saturday, and then I'll have to double check the date for Ankush. It's not a Saturday. Does anyone?
It's a Monday.
It is a Monday. Okay. Oh, and it's a follow. So we've got next Saturday, and then the following Monday we're on with Ankush, like 2 days later, I believe, right? What?
I'm not there next week, so.
Yeah, and I'm not there next week either. I don't know whether you will be, but.
Well, whatever. We'll carry on without you. No. All right. Love you all. Have a wonderful rest of the afternoon.
Thanks, Michael.
Enjoy your day, and we'll see you.
Bye, Jessie Lynn.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Dominic. Bye, everybody.
See you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.